connects you to the newsmakers.
Citi News.
It's midday. Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Citi Prime News. We're coming to you live from our studios at number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka, Accra. My name is Ajwatin Krama Domina. Coming up, Ghana needs $5 billion or approximately 81 billion cedis to fix its flooding situation as the Ghana Hydrological Authority laments inadequate funding to tackle the menace.
Looking at the flood risk challenges across the country, we estimate that we need about $5 billion across the country.
Also coming up, rice millers warn against the government's grain importation plan. Meanwhile, they demand a dialogue over this intention.
By the time we get back, that will be next year, our market is gone. The local enterprise is going to suffer. That is the problem.
Meanwhile, Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso has raised an alarm over the government's intention to ban grain export. Also, coming up in the bulletin, Ashanti Regional Security Council begins training of its security agencies as it identifies over 50 flashpoints in the 2024 elections. We'll hear from Chairman of the Security Council, who says critical focus will be put on those areas.
So far, we've reached 50. I won't say that's the end. And the basis for the determination of flashpoints, to me, are two key factors.
And later, National Democratic Congress requests urgent Inter-Party Advisory Committee IPAC meeting over concerns on just concluded voter exhibition exercise.
About some 34 people have been transferred to Pusiga without them ever walking to a registration center to say, I'm transferring my vote. And so all of those issues will be ironed out in the emergency IPAC we have requisitioned.
Stay with us for details of these and more stories coming your way in 30 minutes. Remember, the bulletin is live around the globe on citinewsroom.com. Across the country, we are live on a number of affiliates. If you're in the Western region, this is Premier 100.5 FM in Takoradi, Beach 105.5 FM also in Takoradi. In the Bono region, this is J Life 95.5 FM in Sunyai. In the Ashanti region, tune into Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi. Volta region, this is Akpeni Radio 96.7 in Pando, Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohoi. In the Northern region, tune into Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi. In Upper East, this is Word 88.3 FM in Zwarungu. If you're in the Upper West, this is Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura. And in the Northeast region, this is Eagle FM 94.1 in Wale Wale. Please stay for details.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Updates you on all the running stories and connects you to the newsmakers.
We're grateful for your company this afternoon. The Ghana Hydrological Authority says it requires $5 billion to tackle the country's flood problems. Now, in 2023, the authority says it received just 92 million cedis under the National Flood Control Program, which it deems insufficient. Now, during a sitting of the Assurance Committee in Parliament, Director of the authority, Dr. John Kisi, stated that $5 billion, the equivalent of 91 billion Ghana cedis, is what they require and which is necessary to effectively prevent flooding in the country.
In 2023, under the National Flood Control Program, we received about 92 million cedis to undertake flood mitigation works across the country.
And what will you have required, ideally? What will have been adequate for you to do your work?
So, Honorable Chair, our work that we've done looking at the flood risk challenges across the country, we estimate that we need about $5 billion across the country.
Dollars?
Yes, to address comprehensively the flood risk challenge that we have. And that is looking across every city, in every town, in every region of the country. That's a significant challenge that we have.
Well, it appears that it's been a drop in the ocean so far.
You heard Director of the Ghana Hydrological Authority, Dr. John Kisi, interacting with members of the Government Assurance Committee in Parliament. Let's stay on water issues because the Ghana Water Company Limited is expecting water supply to normalize by end of day in parts of eastern Greater Accra. The GWCO had announced supply interruptions in areas like Dodowa, Oyibi, Frafraha, Adenta and Medina due to repairs on a burst pipe from the Pong treatment plant. Now, speaking on the City Breakfast Show, Communications Manager at the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Martin, noted that while supply will resume, water rationing will continue unabated in affected areas.
This morning we have been monitoring, according to our bulletin, most parts of Oyarifa, Adenta, and some parts of Medina are getting water. Even yesterday, we managed to get water into our Ponglo reservoir, so we're also able to push water into the Nima, Mamobi, Kanda, cantonment areas and all that. This morning, we are hopeful that everything will continue as it is, so that by close of day, the situation will stabilize. So everything is done now, and we have resumed production, and we are monitoring the system to ensure that water goes to all the areas within the enclave that was affected.
So are you able to assure us that by close of day today, water supply would have been restored to normalcy?
I mean, per our monitoring, yes, we can say that. But we are working with equipment. I mean, barring any technical hitches, water, the situation should stabilize by tonight, and then pumping will continue unabated.
Meanwhile, the company says it aims to achieve 100% water coverage by 2030, up from the current 80%, aligning with UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, this comes amid a planned water interruption in Eastern Greater Accra and complaints about water access in other regions. Here's Communications Manager at the GWCO, Stanley Marty again.
How about developing plans to meet 100% access by 2030? And even per the SDG goals, we are supposed to meet 100% access by 2030. And it's in line with our government's vision, and it's also in line with our company's vision and target. Okay, so we are working with that. You remember in 2020, we had cast forward for a number of treatment plans to be built. They are all in line to ensure that we are able to meet the target of 2030. So far, coverage is around 80%. Okay, and with the development plans in place, we are sure that barring any unforeseen circumstances, we should be able to meet the target of 100% access by 2030.
That's the Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Marty. Let's do some other stories. The Minister of Food and Agriculture, Brian Echampong, has hinted that the government may import selected grains, mainly rice and maize, to address potential shortages due to severe drought in northern Ghana. In an interview with Channel 1 TV's face-to-face show host, Umaru Sandamadu, he reviewed plans to import 300,000 metric tons of grains from various sources, including ECOWAS grain reserves. According to him, the government aims to fill an anticipated 600,000-ton gap within 3 weeks to ensure food security.
So we're going to have a gap of 600,000 metric tons, which gap we want to fill in 3 ways. One, last year we had a bumper harvest. The interventions that we put in the system worked, and that is why, if you remember, maize dropped from 350 all the way to about 150, 145, and farmers were complaining. We also have what we call project stock, and project stocks are largely stocks that our projects, for example, we have SADEP, which gives inputs in the north, which we are doing with African Development Bank. So we're going to release this one on the market. Two, there's an ECOWAS grain reserve for maize, rice, and things.
Where, in Accra?
We have one in Ghana.
Okay.
We have one which is controlled by buffer stock.
Okay.
So that grain reserve, we're going to tap into it. The gap is what we intend to bring in.
Okay, so the first leg is we are relying on our warehouse.
Yes.
The second is the West Africa
ECOWAS grain reserve.
And the third one is import.
Yes.
From where?
Well, we've met with we want to deal with it at the bilateral level. So we're talking to country level. I mean, if for example I sit here and countries write to me looking for specific products, and we're able to lead them to some suppliers to give to us. So that's what we're doing.
So you do the same reciprocation?
Exactly. We're talking to countries to get us.
But this is just maize. What about the other crops?
So we're looking at maize and rice mainly.
Minister for Food and Agriculture Brian Echampon speaking to Maru Sanda Amadou. Meanwhile, the Competitive Africa Rice Platform has asked the government to reconsider importing rice and grains to address potential food shortages due to this drought. Now, chairman of the Competitive Africa Rice Platform, Yawe Dupoku, called for dialogue with the government seeking ways for rice farmers to benefit from the current situation instead of being negatively impacted by imports.
It has already been affected. We are looking at the larger picture. We want to feed the nation. We want to feed the country. So if we want to do that, then the minister is right in putting in measures to make sure that we are covered. But then, by the time we get back, that will be next year, our market is gone. The local enterprise is going to suffer. That is the problem. So I'm thinking that if the government at this stage can raise enough funds to bring in 100,000 metric tons of rice. What was holding the government up is putting this kind of facility at the disposal of the farmer and the processor. It would have been well prepared for it. They won't sit for that. You go, talking to them is a bit difficult. It's a bit difficult. If they call us, we will go. We want to knock the door, and if the door is not open, what do you do? So we are there, and we are the very people they are governing. So somehow dialogue should be in place, but it is like climbing a very high mountain just to get your views over to government.
You heard chairman of the Competitive Africa Rice Platform, Yao Edupoku. Let's stay on the subject because Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso, Boniface Gambila, has raised concerns about the government's recent decision to impose a ban on the export of grains without proper consultation with all stakeholders. Now, the Minister for Food and Agriculture, Brian Echampon, during a press briefing in Accra on August 27, announced the imposition of a ban on export of grains due to the ongoing dry spell affecting the northern part of the country, pointing out the strong relationship between Ghana, Burkina Faso and other neighboring countries. He says such issues should have been taken into account. Now, speaking to Citi News, Ghana's ambassador to Burkina Faso expressed concerns highlighting the potential diplomatic and economic impacts of this decision on Ghana's relations with its neighbors.
I didn't have any consultation. The minister, he is home and he is looking at his figures and thinks that strategically, a temporal ban or a total ban may be the solution. But I wish it had been an issue of discussion before the ban can be decided or could be decided on. I don't know if there was any cross-checking with neighboring countries because we are supposed to have a policy of good neighborliness. And so it's always good to discuss together to find solutions. Burkina Faso send their cereals to sell to people across the border or across to Ghana. Colleague ministers like that should meet and discuss and find solutions for the people. Because when we try to do things independently, it's like we are still dividing ourselves. Issues of reprisal. You do me, I do you. Those ones are there. That's why I'm saying that normally it would have been good to cross-border discussion. As somebody who has studied economics and agriculture also, in terms of challenges like this, you think of import controls and export controls so that we don't have these problems of ECOWAS and AES separation. As of now, I don't know if we have looked at the quantities of produce that come from Burkina, Togo, Ivory Coast into Ghana. Whether we've looked at that, I don't know if we have looked at the data.
Boniface Gambila also emphasized the need for broader discussions before implementing such a significant directive, especially considering Ghana's porous borders.
The fact is that when you are coming through the border, there is only one or two official borders. The rest are open. That's why we don't make laws that you cannot implement. The border line is so many miles from one end to another, and you have only one point where a structure is built with officers controlling in and out. The formal transporting and importing is done on the route through the gates. But the informal, which is bigger, 80% of imports export, you won't see them. They go across, people connive. They have their own approved route. So that's why I'm saying that it should have been a collaborative thing. Together you sit and see how things are. As I sit here, looking at it practically, what I see, what I have felt practically.
Point ahead of the 2024 general elections. We have details of this and other stories coming up shortly. Please stay.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
Channel 1 TV is live on DSTV, GoTV, and HD+. On DSTV, find us on Channel 363. On GoTV, we're on Channel 117. And on HD+, get us on Channel 108. On a digital TV, run a new search. But take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Channel 1 TV. Channel 1 TV can be accessed on any free-to-air digital box, like the DSTV and HD+ boxes. Channel 1 TV, telling your story, empowering change.
Get ready for the ultimate battle of business minds at the Citi Business Olympics 2024. Join us for a day of intense competition, team building, and networking as companies go head-to-head in the various challenges to prove their skills and expertise. From traditional sports like seven-a-side football, basketball, sack race, and volleyball to unique challenges like tug of war and arm wrestling, there's no shortage of excitement and adrenaline pumping action. Don't miss out on this exciting event that will test your business acumen and athletic skills on the field. Date Saturday 28th September 2024. Venue Eden Heights Sports Complex, Wager. Time 8 a.m. Call 0558 973 973 for details on how you can participate and showcase your company's talents at the Citi Business Olympics 2024. Get ready to compete, collaborate, and conquer. The Citi Business Olympics 2024 is powered by Channel 1 TV with support from 97.3 Citi FM and proudly sponsored by Piva Beverages, Blue Jeans Energy Drink, and Bethel Logistics, experts in shipping logistics.
Citi Prime News at 12 midday. Update you on all the running stories and connect you to the newsmakers.
You're welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take you to the Ashanti region now, where the Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah says 50 flashpoints have been identified in the region ahead of the December 7 elections. As a chairman of the Regional Security Council, he stated that these areas will receive heightened security attention before, during, and after the elections. Speaking to Citi News, the minister stated that security officers in the region are currently undergoing the necessary training to ensure they can effectively fulfill their duties.
When elections are drawing nearer, Regional Security Council will try to determine areas which are fresh points, and make the necessary, put in place necessary strategies to ensure that we curb any security challenge that will occur at the place. So far, we've reached 50. I won't say that's the end. And the basis for the determination of fresh points, to me, are two key factors. The first one is from experience, what has been happening in that particular police station or community. The second one is information or intel that we get on the ground. In such situation, it does not necessarily mean maybe there have been some security crises in a particular area or not during the election. But the moment we get the intelligence that A or B or some people are planning to cause mayhem or to destabilize a polling station during election day or a community during election day, we flag the place as a fresh point. So we are still continuing. I'm sure by the end of September or middle of October, we will be through the end of determining the total number of fresh points that we have. But now we have over 50. Fortunately for me, the security people I have here, they are professionals, they are prepared to work, they are always available when the need arises.
That's the Ashanti Regional Minister Simon Osei-Mensah. Let's stay on election-related violence issues. In the National Democratic Congress, the NDC has reiterated its refusal to sign any peace pact unless the recommendations from the committee that investigated the 2020 electoral violence are fully implemented. Despite appeals from the Peace Council to commit to peace ahead of the December 7 presidential and parliamentary elections, the NDC has rejected these calls. Speaking at a gathering in Agomenya in the Lower Manyakrobo constituency, NDC's national chairman Johnson Esiedu Nketia says the party will not sign any peace agreement if those responsible for the violence in 2020 are not held accountable.
Every life is important in this country. Every death should mean something. You cannot watch people get killed, come into power and do nothing about it. You must put measures in place to ensure the people responsible must be dealt with. You haven't done anything about this, so how do you come to me with another request to sign a peace pact? We will not watch for people to get killed ruthlessly just because of power and nothing is done. That is why we are insisting we won't sign the pact. There must be accountability, without which we will not sign.
As the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Esiedu Nketia, let's stay with the party because he has requested an urgent inter-party advisory committee IPAC meeting to address concerns it has identified during the recently concluded voter exhibition exercise. The NDC has raised concerns about discrepancies in the voters' register. Now, in an interview with Citi News, the party's Deputy General Secretary Mustafa Gbande expressed hope that the Electoral Commission would respond positively to their request for this meeting.
About some 34 people have been transferred to Pusiga without those people consenting, without them ever walking to a full registration center to say, I'm transferring my vote. And so we believe that these are administrative issues that can be dealt with. So we are tabling the matter before the Electoral Commission. The NPP silence is either because they are not doing their work, they have accepted that they are losing election, or they think that the discrepancies favor them. And so all of those issues will be ironed out in the emergency IPAC we have requisitioned, believing that reasonably, because the issues are so fundamental, the Electoral Commission will honor it and call for an emergency IPAC meetings where the MPP will be seated. All of us will have to deal with the issues. Otherwise,
Mustafa Gbande is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Well, there's a response from the NPP, and the party has described as needless concerns raised by the NDC over the electoral register. The NDC's Director of Elections, Dr. Mani Buama, after the voter exhibition exercise, accused the Electoral Commission of deliberately tampering with the register. Speaking to Citi News, Director of Elections for the NPP, Evans Nimako, noted that the issues raised by the NDC are part of the reasons that warranted the voter exhibition exercise. Hence, there's no need to worry.
There's exhibition. The exercise is simple. It is to enable stakeholders, assist the Electoral Commission to come out with a register that will be the final register for an election. And so, at this phase, we are doing exhibition. So if you go to the exhibition center and your details are not correct, all that you do is to ask for the exhibition officer to give you the appropriate forms so you fill for the right corrections to be made to your details.
If I get you mean that the exhibition process is to first identify any error whatsoever that may arise in the register. And so if you are identifying errors, then there's nothing wrong with it.
Yes, because it's to enable you to go and check to make sure that your name, your details are in the register. If they are there and there are no corrections to be made, yes, that's the detail the EC must keep in the final register. So when you hear people at this phase crying needlessly, it's really...
you call that needless?
Director of Elections of the NPP, Evans Nimako, speaking to Citi News' Hansen Ajiman. Let's move away from election-related matters. And the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, says the government is considering extending the construction of the Kaswa to Winneba Highway beyond its original endpoint at Winneba. During an inspection tour of the highway alongside the Minister for Roads and Highways, Dr. Amin Adam stressed his ministry's commitment to ensuring timely release of funds to facilitate this construction. Now, he explained that the potential extension of the project is driven by the highway's critical connectivity to other parts of the country and neighboring West African nations.
A lot of work has gone into this already, and I can see that we are not really walking, we are flying, which reflects our own expectations as a government, because it's taken us long to do this project. And so the government has come around to ensure that this project is done and done quickly. to provide relief to motorists. Particularly, this is a highway that links to Takoradi and beyond. Cape Coast, Takoradi, and I was discussing with the minister that we should extend this contract, if possible, through to Cape Coast, to Takoradi, and then to the border. If we do that, given the quality of work being done here, we can be assured that we will have a road network that can stand the test of time.
That's the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam. But residents along the stretch have raised concerns with safety issues as huge gullies and the blasting of rocks have characterized the construction. But the Minister for Roads and Highways, Francis Asensio-Boakye, says they are ready to deal with the safety issues on the stretch.
Safety issues are important. In fact, they are all part of the contract management, project management. I know that they've put in place safety measures, but if there are specific issues that the people are not happy about, we are ready to address them. We've had similar situation in the Ofanko and Sawam road projects that we receive a lot of complaints. Well, we sat down with the consultant and the contractors and we were able to resolve them, and currently there are no issues. If there are specific issues, we are ready to address them. The contractor is a top-notch contractor, but many people think that is a foreign contractor, but it's a local contractor. And I must also add that many of these projects that I'm talking about are being done by local contractors. There has been a deliberate effort by the Akufo-Addo administration to empower local contractors and indeed local businesses to take over the commanding heights of the economy. This is one of the strategies we want to use to develop our country.
Minister for Roads and Highways, Francis Asensio-Boakye. Now, Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, is impressing upon President Akufo-Addo to sign into law the anti-witchcraft bill before his term ends. The 2023 bill outlaws witch-finding and prohibits labeling others as witches. Despite its passage, elderly people still face mob attacks, like a recent incident in Yambong in the Oti region, where an elderly man was reportedly beaten to a pulp over wizardly accusations. Now, President Akufo-Addo has expressed concerns about the law's financial implications on the country. Speaking to Citi News, Francis Xavier Sosu condemned these attacks, arguing that the president's inaction emboldens perpetrators.
It is quite sad and very unfortunate that these things continue to occur, despite the fact that we've been speaking and advocating against it. But then again, I think we must lay the blame right at the forefront of the President of the Republic of Ghana, because our advocacy is incomplete unless these advocacies lead to a legislation. Thank God last year we were able to pass the anti-witchcraft bill, which seeks to prohibit the calling, the naming and labeling of other people as witches. I think that there is just a lack of commitment from the President to do the needful. I think the reasons given for which reason the bill has not been signed are not tenable reasons, because the bill didn't just get passed as a go. The bill went through different processes before it got to the stage where it was passed into law. And so those concerns raised by the President obviously are non-existent. And I think if the President really wants to show that he's committed to human rights, protection of the elderly and the aged people, he should sign this bill before he leaves office.
Meanwhile, the Amnesty International is rallying individuals to sign an online petition to draw attention of the international community and ensure the president assents to the bill. Here's Francis Xavier Sosu again.
It's quite strange that such a sensitive matter that would have a permanent resolution, or at least will have a basis for a permanent resolution through this legislation, is being treated in this manner. And so, yes, when you talk about engagement, there have been several engagements, and the engagements continue to go ahead. I mean, as I speak to you now, there are several. Amnesty International has begun an online petition that we are all signing to, just to continue to put pressure on the government to sign this bill. And I have gone ahead to petition the African Commission, the Human Rights Commission of the UN, and several other organizations, all on this subject matter. So I can only hope, because for me, mine is to keep doing the advocacy and rally other people to support the advocacy. The rest is a decision before the president that he has to take that decision.
Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Susu, speaking there. And that's it for today's package of the Citi Prime News, which has been live from our studio in Adabraka, Accra. For more stories, please log on to citinewsroom.com. My name is Ajuatin Kramadomna. Thank you for your company. Good afternoon.
City News. We speak first. Reach our hotline on 0302 224959 and get interactive on Facebook, Citi 97.3 FM, and on Twitter at Citi 973.